Welcome to Spearfishing Down Under. Last episode was a day and a half of a 2.5 day trip I did with good friends of mine, Leigh Mitchell and Josh Ball. Now, we, in those first day and a half, shot some incredible fish. You would have seen we shot some really nice purple cod, we shot some really nice red emperor. I left off the last episode with the fact that we were going to go chase some fish the next day on the coast. On the coast of North Queensland means we're going to chase barramundi and black jew. Trips into North Queensland usually happen in winter for us for the simple reason of the fact that right through summer, southeasterly winds blowing and the water's usually really dirty. So we get into winter, we start to get westerlies and that coastal water comes really clear. Also, it is cooler and that cooler water usually means the nutrient levels drop a bit. Again, the water's clearer. The focus at the start of the final day of the trip was barramundi. At this stage, Josh Ball hadn't shot barramundi before, so he was pretty keen to actually shoot a barramundi, and he also hadn't shot a black jew. We started looking for barra in spots that I hadn't actually dove before, and these spots were incredible country. There were big boulders forming big caves, and we spent a bit of time together, myself and Josh, swimming through these boulders looking for the barramundi. These boulder areas are really fishy areas. You'll notice in some of these clips there was big schools of bream, which to me usually say that we're not looking in exactly the right spot. I find if I'm seeing lots of bream, I'm not seeing barra because I really feel like those barra are going to eat those bream. We also found schools of really small fingermark, again a fish that I don't usually find around big schools of large barra. We hopped through a bunch of different areas till I found a really fishy area. Now our focus was getting Josh Ball a barra. We spent a bunch of time just diving together. He dove, I'd seen a few barra, and we decided that's it, we're going and we're diving and swimming side by side. Last episode, I talked about the fact that we found out that Josh Ball's eyesight was no good, and so hunting for barra is really difficult when you don't have good eyesight. After this trip, Josh Ball went home and got glasses, but he also got prescription lenses fitted to his goggles. Unfortunately, none of those things helped him on this trip, and our diving together, focus trying to help him find a barra, became really frustrating for me. This dive, Josh and I dove together and we slid down between a crack. Now, you have to be focused when looking for barra, especially in dirty water, because barra can just slip past you before you even see them. I looked up and saw that fish coming above us. You can see on Josh's footage, he was looking down and missed it completely, didn't even see the fish. I thought, let's back off, let's go and start the dive again. And as we're turning around to swim back, this barra come in the shallows behind us and swam straight past us. Then Josh saw that one and chased it a little bit, but it was gone.
Mate, do you see the big one swam straight in front of us? Like a big meatery. Before that, big meatery swam, I'm just like going like that. What are you looking at? Big fish.
Honestly, I got a little overswimming down with Borlo, so I set him down himself, and next dive he actually saw a barra. Unfortunately, as he pulled the trigger, he had a muzzle wrap on the gun and just bounced off that fish. After Borlo missed that fish, we didn't see any barra for a little while, so we shifted spots. We went to a spot that I have dove before, and I knew there was a really cool cave leading to an area where I've seen lots of barra before. Borlo and I swum through that cave, and it's an epic cave, a really awesome spot. We come out of the first cave and it splits into another cave. It's an area that I had seen barra a number of times, so I headed Borlo down into that area. I waited to hear if Borlo had shot, and I heard a shot that actually come from above me. I turned to see Leigh had just shot a really nice barra around the metre mark.
Ball bag's in that cave.
It was on the top.
Ball bag's in the cave.
Get one? Get one?
That scared the crap out of me.
Well, I followed you two through. I watched you point ball through that cave, and I come up and he's just sitting on top here.
That's awesome.
So I'm like, what can I do? I've got to take him.
In the face.
We were pretty stoked that Leigh had finally got a nice barra. Unfortunately, Josh hadn't got his barra, but we thought we'd do a couple more dives around that area. Next dive, I came out of the cave and I was waiting on the area where it opened back up. A really nice tusky swam in and saw me. I could have shot it, but I was thinking still about barra, and it bolted to my left. Unfortunately for that tusky, Leigh was to my left and he shot the tusky.
He didn't miss for once.
How's that G-banger?
Yeah.
See where we are now? That's where that barra was on that ledge there.
Yeah. Yep.
As you can see, this tusky is around that 7 to 8 kilos, which is a really good tusky for this area. A couple more dives in this area, we didn't see any more barra or even any more tusk fish, so we decided it was time to make another move. The next spot was actually a spot I hadn't dove before, and honestly, it didn't look like that great a country. We were just heading to go and target some fingermark and some black dew, and I thought I might just stop at this spot and have a look. When I jumped in, I did a dive and I swam along the bottom and it was quite sandy. There was no major rock. There was a small tree that didn't really look that great. But I look to my right and I see some monster barra. I made sure that I didn't react quickly because they were just looking at me, and I rolled the gun slowly out and picked a really nice fish. That barra absolutely flogged me. It went as hard as any barra I've ever shot. It just went crazy and went nuts, and at one stage it went so hard I thought I was gonna get spooled. That fish weighed around the 15 kilo mark.
I thought I lost him, eh? He just full double back on me. I'm like, no, I've lost him. Oh no, I haven't. He's smoking me again. Big school of barra. I hit the bottom and swung over that tree, nothing. And I'm like, oh, bugger. Just thought I'd lay there for a bit. All of a sudden, up above me, like, I'm in, say, 15 foot of water, 5 foot from the surface. They're just sitting up here. All good fish, just sitting above me. Skinny.
At this stage, most of the morning had gone chasing barra, and we decided we're going to head out and try and find some fingermark on the way to the spots that we really like to target black dew. First spot we jumped in on was a small wreck, and this spot usually holds a number of fingermark. Leigh dove. There was a couple of fish on the bottom and he picked out a really nice fingermark. We moved to another spot where I've shot fingermark in the past. This spot often holds huge schools of them, and I've seen fish between 6 and 10 kilos there in the past. When I dove, I got to the bottom and I was completely schooled by a really nice fingermark. I took my time trying to pick a really big fish. I was looking for a fish that wasn't just long but also high and big thick shoulders. After the school spooking a number of times, I finally picked a fish around that 7 kilo mark.
Fingers, the genus. Genus Johnny.
I find often after you shoot a fingermark, the school moves on and you don't find them again. So we continue just to hop spots and we headed on to another headland where I've shot fingermark in the past. Borlo swam around the corner and dove on a really nice looking country. When he hit the bottom, he found a school of really small black jew and fingermark together, and he picked out a fish around that 4 kilo mark. At this stage, all three of us had shot fingermark, so we decided we're going to go and look for black jew. We headed to a headland where I had seen black jew in the past. It has a big cave, and we'd seen black jew in that cave. On this day, there was no black jew there, but Leigh found himself a really nice school of fingermark again. Leigh picked off his second fingermark. Not a big fish, but a really nice one.
Got a little one, nothing like the one before. There's only 2 little ones there, so I thought I might as well get one while I'm here.
Black jew and fingermark often hang out in the same sort of areas, and I've seen at times big schools intermingled together. It was getting a little later on in the afternoon and the tide was just right for an area that I've seen big schools of black jew in the past. We headed over there, dropped the anchor, and all three of us hopped in together and made a decision as we talked on the surface that we were going to dive, and if the black jew were there, that Josh would shoot first because he'd never shot a black jew, Leigh would shoot second because he'd come all the way from Western Australia, and I would shoot last. This area, I probably only dive every 2 years, every 3 years, so it has very little pressure. And as you can see, these fish are really relaxed with divers. We had the time to really pick out the fish that we wanted to shoot. Josh picks out a really nice fish. You can see it's got big shoulders, big head, and also really long. After the boys had shot, the school's a little bit spooky, but still they were placid enough for me to pick out a fish that was a really nice fish as well, just over the 20 kilo mark. Josh stoned his fish. I pulled my fish to the surface quite easily, but Leigh's fish got stuck in the bottom and it took us a few dives to get it out.
So Leigh, what happened? Oh, I just got me stuck up on the bottom. So magic.
Just as a side note, legislation changed in 2020. This trip was significantly before that, and what we did, taking 3 fish, was totally legal back then. Now, the rules have changed. You can only take 2 fish per boat with more than 2 divers. After we all landed our fish, we decided, you know what, these fish look so incredible. Let's see if we can get some really good footage of filming these fish. I did a number of free dives and I was testing to see how close I could actually get to these fish. From there we free dived with these fish for about an hour. Got some incredible footage of those fish just swimming past us, and they were incredible fish, 10 to 25 kilo black jew. There was whales in the background, there was big cod. It was just amazing swimming with those fish, and honestly, it was a great cap off to a trip. We headed back to the car and had a huge drive home, and honestly most of the trip home we just talked about the freediving with those fish and just how incredible that was. Every time I look back on these trips and the friends that I'm diving with Josh Ball, diving with Leigh Mitchell, it brings back the greatest of memories of not just the great fish but the friendship. Now, the next episode is actually a trip I did with Leigh back in Western Australia. I headed over to Exmouth and headed out of there, and let me just say, we saw some of the most incredible fish. Trust me, don't miss this next episode. It's going to be incredible, and we would love you to like, subscribe, click on that bell so that you get notifications for every episode that comes out.